Hey, my name's Warren Roberts. I'm from the Dunghutti tribe.
I'm Tom. I'm from a small Indigenous community about an hour away from Tamworth in regional New South Wales.
Hi, I'm Cody. My family's originally from the Central Coast, up around Cessnock.
Hi, my name's Andrea Aditi. I'm from the Torres Straits. My family is from Saibai Island, which is the top western part of the region.
Hi, my name is Faith, aka Donia. I was born in the Torres Straits. My grandmother's an Aboriginal woman.
My name's Johnny Blackledge. I was born in Sydney, but my family is from Alice Springs. I'm from the Arunta people.
Through culture and family, it's really important.
It all relates back to family and who your family is and like what community you're from and who you associate with. And so if your family and your community is Indigenous, I find like, well, that's how I identify as Indigenous.
My heritage because of my family. It's where I was born, and I was born into a community where there are other Indigenous people.
Different things that we do and how we identify with the community, within the community, where we stand. It's it's very important for us to kind of make a name and find self-identity. I mean, there's a lot of things that we don't know about ourselves and that we're still trying to find.
I identify as being Aboriginal the way I grew up, family upbringing and all that.
And I identify with my language from where I come from, and my birthplace, which has a story in itself about the people and where they come from.
Because I grew up with Dunghutti, that's pretty much who I identify as being my tribe. My father's tribe is Bunjalung, but I never grew up with them.
Well, most of my friends are Indigenous anyway, so most getting involved in community, I don't really go back up that way very often at all, just because only my nan's there now, and most of my family is like all around the joint. But yeah, community is obviously important.
There's a massive issue with Indigenous health and I guess there is a bit of you're Indigenous and you're graduating with a degree in medicine, you're going to be a doctor. Shouldn't you work with Indigenous health? Yeah. And with Indigenous people? And I guess it's fair enough. I have a feeling within myself, I want to work within Indigenous people, and because it was Indigenous people that gave me the opportunity to go to university, and so I feel like I want to give back.
I do feel accepted, although some people are not very open to, some people are not really, know where you're from, and some don't accept you and some do, so the people that do, it's good. We share a lot of things with each other.
There's a sense of obligation there, mainly from my community back home. I mean, blackfellas would expect you to have something to do with Indigenous law and representing blackfellas, but that's not to say that you can't excel in other areas of law, whatever you're studying, whatever you got a job in. But there is that sense of obligation there.
I'm Aboriginal, and my mother's actually white, so she's from Melbourne, but my father's the Koori in our family. And of course, I'm proud to be Indigenous. I try to get involved with all the Indigenous things at uni. That's the way you sort of recognise, and you sort of have to embrace it, really. You can't. Well, that's what I feel like anyway.
I think when you're black, you're political.
If you've got a passion for your own people and for things that have happened, you're more inclined to look for work in those areas where it's going to help the people. A lot of Indigenous people, because they come from stolen generation families, that just don't identify as an Indigenous person, and they can just get quite lost into the rest of society and not even think twice about their heritage.
Being an Aboriginal person, you're basically a community person, and you openly say that in your community, and you're accepted in your community and things like that. So, being Aboriginal, we have our struggles, and that struggle's been going on for 200 years, so we can't not have it. This is part of us.
What I find is a big problem is where people already have this this idea. They have this perception about what Indigenous people are like. They've always perceived Aboriginal people to be low-minded, uneducated, alcoholics, and coming from poor socioeconomic backgrounds and stuff like that.
But the big thing is, it's not about resisting, it's also about how do we work together, because in the end we can't get rid of the people that's here. We've got to work together, and Aboriginal people have been always trying to work together, but white people see that as a consultation rather than let's actually work together and see tangible results and about moving forward and things like that. But again, each group, each tribal group to their own, but we're obviously all proud of where we come from, but we need to stand together.
In a way, you're surrounded, like most of my mates are Indigenous and my family from Alice Springs is Indigenous, and it's just like, and you can see it, like whenever I go up there is an issue with like health and stuff, and so it's just the opportunities there, and so you feel within yourself you should, and that's how I feel like. Yeah. Like I definitely want to do something with Indigenous health.
I know. I think it's really important to know who you are, and I think it's important for us to band together and to get each other off the ground in our communities, help one another, so that we're empowering each other, because there's so much talent, there's so much that our people can give. It's just that we're still getting there, and we're still trying to find a platform where we can start giving back to our community.
I think more participating in it. I mean, we don't really know who we are, sometimes, and it's good to participate more. We learn more. And it's encouraging other family and friends around you who are non-Indigenous to kind of participate in events and cultural events and things like that around Sydney. So.
Back home, I guess it's all important. I mean, but because I moved away from my family, I guess what I'm around now, most of my friends are Indigenous, and I mean, like I said yesterday, it's pretty much who you surround yourself with. I mean, you can look at where you come from and how important that has been in forming who you are, but then you can also look at where you are now. I mean, if you're like me and moved away from your community to study at university, like I said, it's who you base your friends on, or what you base your friends on, who you hang around, and whether they're Indigenous or not. What you believe in and stuff like that.
Well, as I said, if you're an Aboriginal, you're active within your community, so I live it every day, I don't have a choice.
Some essence in the way they live that was there a long time ago. So to do with music and dance, we still have a lot of that culture. A lot of our art is contemporary now, so they're expressing their art through different kinds of media. We have that, but certainly there's customary practices that we still keep. Things to do with funeral and burial rites, even to do with birth.
Look, I'm sure this is a question that we don't ask ourselves every day. We don't wake up, I wonder how I identify as being Indigenous. You just live it, you know what I mean? It's something that you live every day, and different people have different ways of representing their background, and some people don't want to identify at all, and some people who went through stolen generation or whatever, who don't even know where they come from, and is it living a traditional life and out back and on the land and all that, or is it living in the city in urban style Indigenous identity, and majority of us who at university and things like this is the life we live, urban style Aboriginal identity. And how do we I suppose live our life in the city? There's people always look at Aboriginal identity as it's one thing out in the land and living on bush tucker and all that business, but I have to answer this from Parliament, so sorry. Hello.